What's up, agents, and welcome back to another Division video where we have just been grinding the stats for the brand new exotic mask, the Catalyst, on my live stream on YouTube and on Twitch. Big shout out to everybody that was in the chat and put up with me looking at numbers for a very long time, but we kind of came to a shared conclusion when we were discussing its best bits and its not so good bits and the stats as well. Because what we are going to do in this video is compare it to the Coyote'S mask, which is kind of the obvious comparison, really. So first of all, let me set the scene for you, why you like, share, comment, and subscribe. The Catalyst mask comes with a red core attribute, which kind of indicates that it wants to be used in red builds. It doesn't really indicate that it wants to be used in skill builds. And just to kind of cover that off very quickly, although it does give you, when it's at max, 24% status effects there, a further status effect here, unless you want your enemies to burn for that much longer or bleed for that much longer, it's not really that much use. You'd much rather go Vile Mask and just take the extra damage and probably kill things quicker. And the problem that we have in the game right now is that when it comes to them kind of builds, Eclipse Protocol paired with the Vile Mask is just so good. You're not going to really swap in another mask than with the Eclipse set and really do yourself any favors. The damage from the Vile Mask is just going to do so much more for you in many ways. So that kind of shuts down that already. It's unfortunate. Is it usable? Yes. If you wanted to use it, could you? Absolutely. But is it going to outdo the Vile or the setup that we've already got? No, it's not. So that's a shame. So then we'll go back to looking at builds like this, the OD build. And before we do that and we look at the stats, I am going to do a very quick mention because we did talk about it at the beginning of this conversation. And if I can find a build with it on, I know I've got one somewhere there. We're going to talk about Hunter's Fury very quickly. So Hunter's Fury obviously has a lot of advantages. You could run it with the backfire and you could put bleed on yourself if you wanted to. It also disorientates bad guys when you kill them in close proximity a lot of the time, meaning that you are going to get stacks from the mask to give you damage. The problem with Hunter's Fury is that if you run the chest or the backpack, one of them gives you more duration and one of them gives you more range. They're not damage talents. So if you're seeking out more damage from your builds by having to add one of them into your build, you're going to lose damage, and you would have to add one of them in to fit the new Catalyst mask into the build. For instance, you would have to add the backpack in so that you could add in the exotic mask. You would have to put in the chest piece so that you could fit in the exotic mask, and therefore you're losing damage straight up. For instance, here you can see you're going to lose all the damage from Unstoppable Force, or you're going to lose all the damage from Obliterate. And although Obliterate is a stacking talent, especially when you're running it with an SMG, it caps out extremely easy. Also, you got Vigilance that you could put in here. You could run a shield, and that's constantly up. Unstoppable Force is up most of the time. Especially if you're playing solo, it'll be up all of the time. It's just going to be a no-win situation. And then it comes down to thinking about things that we'll talk about in this video in a little bit. That what are the benefits of the Catalyst mask? The benefits of the Catalyst mask are you get 20% reload speed. That's no slouch, especially if you're running an LMG. You get 25% bonus armor if you're running armor builds. So if you want to be a bit more tanky, again, not terrible. And also you can ADS when you are burning, because this is obviously meant for playing in the Battle for Brooklyn DLC. They mentioned that because it's akin to the cleaners. So if you are in the Brooklyn a lot and you are burning a lot and you want to ADS through it because you're very run and gun, or you're running an armor on kill build or something like that, you might benefit from it a little bit. But do them benefits outweigh the damage situation that you get with it? And what we're talking about is that when it's maxed out, you get 24% weapon damage. So is that good or is that bad? Well, let's take a look. Okay, so here are the actual stats. The stats are all the same for the OD build that I'm running right now. This was the build that we compared it on. We just swapped in the Coyote'S mask for the Catalyst mask, and we assumed we were playing at mid-range, getting 10% crit chance and 10% crit damage from the Coyote'S mask, because the Catalyst has a 25-meter area that you've got to do all of your damage within. So we thought that that was kind of the fair comparison. So I'll show you this build at the end, just a second. So this is the actual stats here. And as you can see at the end, which is the only bit you're really going to be bothered about, is overall the Coyote's mask does 4.5-ish% more damage than the Catalyst when maxed out. Now there's some issues here that I've come across when using this. When I was using it in control points in the open world, I felt like that range was too small and I wasn't always hitting it, and I would lose stacks because I was not always within range. We've just tested it here in Lincoln Memorial, and I did the first 2 or 3 sections, and I was always within range. The stacks always built up and I always had them. Therefore then you're taking kind of advantage of, all right, yeah, I'm losing 4.5% damage, but I am being able to reload faster. I am being able to get a little bit of bonus armor. I am being able to ADS if I'm burning. It is burning, right? Or is it status effects only? While burning. So it's only fire. So if you're not set on fire, you get another kind of status effect. You're not going to be able to ADS through it. So it is going to be only fire only. So again, that's not really that much of an advantage to me for losing 4.5% damage, and also making sure that I'm always playing within 25 meters, because that's really the crux of it. Not all missions are within, you know, that range, especially when you come to some of the bigger missions and some of the harder missions in the game. So if you think about, you know, if you're running, so you might be all right on District Union, but you're certainly going to start to struggle on Capitol Building in Roosevelt Island. And then especially when you go to things like Coney Island and the amusement park and, you know, Camp White Oak and all these kind of Manning National Zoo, the enemies are so far spread that you're not going to be able to keep up the stacks at all times. So to me, unfortunately, it's a little bit of a dud. I don't feel like it's that great unless you're playing in a very close range environment and then you're willing to drop that almost 5% extra damage on this kind of build. I feel like it's a little bit of a dud. And what we'll do now is we'll just run one section here and I'll show you what I mean. So when you think of Coyote's mask, it's always on. The minute that you hit a bullet within a range, it's always on at all times. But in here, you'll see that you have to build, and then you've got the ability to lose the stacks at the same time. So you're also causing less damage at that point because of the whole stacking mechanic. The quicker you kill things as well is also a problem, because as you can see there, I killed that fast that I didn't even get to max stacks. And whoever thought that getting, you know, killing things too quick would be a problem. So as you can see, if you paid attention to the bar at the bottom, I got to max stacks by the time I got to the last enemy, but another issue came up that I killed so quick, I didn't get to max stacks until I killed the last enemy. So unfortunately, it doesn't get the DJ Tickle stamp of approval. It's okay, it has some benefits, and maybe you want to put it in some kind of niche builds, but if you're going to run anything, the Coyote's mask is just going to be generally better for you, because don't forget as well, this is also going to buff your teammates significantly. You know, 10% extra damage with 3 other people. It's a lot of extra damage. So let me show you the build stats just so you can see that it was for 58.5% crit chance and 118% critical hit damage. We'll flick through this very quickly. Crit chance on the Catalyst, crit chance and Wicked, then ongoing directive with crit damage again, crit damage and crit chance. And then when we swapped it over to the Coyote's mask, we just switched one mod. So we switched out one of the crit chance mods for a crit damage mod, because we know we're going to be playing within that kind of mid-range. We're going to get 10 crit chance, 10 crit damage. And that put us at 52.5 crit chance and 154% critical hit damage. This is definitely the preferred way to run it. Unfortunately, the mask is not going to be fitting in one of my loadouts for now, unless I come across something super super weird that I can run it with that's actually useful. That's going to be it for the video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. As always, let me know what you think in the comments down below. If you watch me do this live, do make sure you comment and like the video because you guys are awesome. And I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching, agents. Goodbye.